Good morning, everyone. This is Russell Rucker. Um, I'm here for another constitutional talk. And today I thought we'd get into Section 4 of Article 4. And this talks about a republic. Okay. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive, wherein the legislature shall be convened against domestic violence. When we're talking about a republic here, and every once in a while I get questions about whether this or that is a violation because it doesn't constitute a republic. For instance, somebody doesn't have equal representation because, I don't know, they're a Republican in a Democrat area or something like that, so they feel they have no representation. But that's really not accurate. In this last couple cycles, we've heard a lot of talk about preserving our democracy. Okay, now, when you talk about a democracy, which we don't have, never have had, and even Franklin said when he was asked on the way out the door, when he was asked what we had, and he said, we have a republic if we can keep it. And that's straight out of the Constitutional Convention at the very end when they left the hall. But today, I want to get into a couple of dictionaries. They're really old dictionaries. This is Samuel Johnson's from 1755. And then there's another one that you can, and both these you can access online and search, and that's Noah Webster's dictionary. So I'd like to explain for a few seconds here who exactly these men were. Noah Webster wrote under the synonym of a citizen in America. Now, this was during the debates over New York accepting the Constitution. Now, this is the same debate that brought us the Federalist Papers and, of course, the Anti-Federalist Papers of the time. He was writing, asking that the Constitution be approved. So he was writing as a Federalist, but it's not part of the Federalist Papers. Okay, he was an educator and he served in the Connecticut House, so he actually did represent people. Now, the other one I want to bring up is, and that Noah Webster was published in 1828, okay, that dictionary that he wrote. And then we have Samuel Johnson, who was a pamphleteer. He defended England, arguing that taxation was not tyranny. That when we left England, we gave up that right of representation because we left England. He was a big defender of England. He was a very religious man. He wrote poetry, he wrote sermons, and he wrote this dictionary that we're going to take a look at today. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to look up, well, what is a republic? And why are we looking at old, ancient dictionaries anyway? And the real reason we look at old, ancient dictionaries, and this is 250 years old, and even a little better than that, and Noah Webster's isn't quite 250. So they're written about 30 years apart or so. Noah Webster's published in 1828, as I mentioned, and Samuel Johnson's was published in 1755. And the reason we look at period dictionaries is because over time, language changes. And when language changes, the definitions of that language can change. And so we're looking back at original intent, and in order to understand original intent, we actually have to understand what they meant. So from time to time, it's a good thing to look these up. The reason these dictionaries are still out there is a lot of people use them for looking up things on the Bibles of the period. There's a religious bent for having these still available. But here I want to read democracy, and this is from Samuel Johnson's dictionary, and it says, one of three forms of government, that in which the sovereign power is neither lodged in one man, like a king, nor in the nobles, but in the collective body of the people. Okay, and Noah Webster points to a democracy, and this is in the definition under a republic, and it says it differs from a democracy or a democratic state in which the people exercise the sovereignty in person. And that is what a democracy is when you go down and you would vote on each individual governmental act. And that would be a pure democracy. Our founders loathed the democracy because of the failures of Greece, and Rome, and just the complete collapse of that way of government. Now, we just went through a democracy and what that really means. So now I'm going to go to the word republic. And republic is spelled differently in this time. It's R-E-P-U-B-L-I-C-K. Okay, we have dropped the K. But this is what it says. A commonwealth, state in which power is lodged in more than one. Okay, now that's an important thing. It's not yourself having the power. It's lodged in more than one. And Noah Webster's goes a little further. A commonwealth, a state in which the sovereign power is lodged in representatives elected by the people. So a republic is when you're actually electing people to represent you, make decisions on your behalf. And a democracy is where you're directly directly voting on it. So if we were to go back to our Constitution, and that's Section 4 in Article 4, guaranteeing us a Republican form of government, it becomes quite important to that fact to understand what a republic really is. So back to Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a Republican form of government, and shall protect each of them against invasion on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened. So here again, we're talking about the executive not being as important as the legislature. So in case of an invasion, the legislature would have to ask for help. Or if the legislature wasn't accepted in session, then they would have to have the executive or the governor asking for help. And some states, they did refer to the executive as the president of that state. But everyone shall have a Republican form of government. So a Republican form of government is basically being allowed to elect your representatives. So if we're comparing this to England at the time of our founding, and you had a king and you had a parliament. So the power was lodged primarily in the king, with the parliament passing acts that the king signed off of. But you couldn't elect a king. And that's the big difference here. It's not a hereditary goal. Now, just recently, I had someone describe our president as a king, and it's just not really true. We have a Supreme Court that can overrule the president. We have a legislature that can bypass the president, can veto. It's really not the same thing. But go back to this point again of the differences between a democracy and a republic, because a lot of people think they're synonymous with one another, meaning they mean the same thing. And just because you get a vote in November does not make it a democracy, because you're voting to elect someone else to make decisions on your behalf, and you're looking at what they've done, what they say they want to do, and that's how we choose our representative government. A lot of people call it a representative democracy, but that isn't exactly true. It's not a democracy. It's a republic, and a republic has an important distinction from a democracy. So the power is not vested in a single person, and it's not invested like a king, and it's not vested in the people themselves. It's elected in a representative body, and that, my friends, is what makes it a republic. I really hope you get this and get to understand exactly what I'm referring to here. I know this is not the first time we've discussed this, but it just seems like it keeps rearing its head. And I want you to be aware and be familiar with the differences and the understanding of what the differences are. And with that, I hope you have a good day. We'll catch you next week on the next Constitutional Talk. It'll be the week of Thanksgiving, and we have a special reading for you. And I hope you have time to join in between the turkey leg, the cranberry sauce. And if you want to really know more, you need to get some of the books I've been putting out. Like 126 Days in Phil. They're going through the convention, and it really gives you a good sound idea of what they were referring to. A lot of people go straight to the Federalist Papers, and then they avoid the Anti-Federalist Papers. The entire body of work is important to understand our Constitution, our rights, our way of government, the way it was meant to be by our founding fathers. And we'll catch you next time on the next Constitutional Talk. Bye for now.